What's up guys, welcome back to B.A.M.F Fabricator. Today we're working on this tailgate from this 1950s Chevy pickup truck. It's got a little bit of rust right here on the bottom. We're going to go ahead and fix that, weld it in with the MIG welder. But I wanted to take all this surface rust off here before we do so. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So let's just jump right into the video. Okay, so what we're going to be using to get this surface rust off of here is some of this. This is concrete and metal prep made by Clean Strip. You can get this stuff at Home Depot, Lowe's, anywhere like that. And you just spray it on here and scuff it with a Scotch-Brite, and it should take most of this stuff off. The heavier rust will still remain, but most of this surface rust will come off of here pretty quick. This stuff will stain your clothes or bleach it, so be careful with that. I like to use gloves, and I like to do this outside because you have to immediately rinse it after you're finished scuffing. So let's go ahead and start spraying this stuff on here. You can see it start working immediately, which is pretty nice. I just like to give it a good coat. I learned this trick from Ray Chalene down at Pro Shaper. Go check out his videos. He's got a long video on removing rust with this type of stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and scuff this up real nice. Some of this rust will have to get ground off with a strip disc. It's kind of thick. But we're just going to take the surface rust off of this for now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and rinse this off. So you want to dry it immediately after you rinse it too, because you don't want it to rust again. So okay, now that we got most of the surface rust taken care of, there's a little bit lingering still here on this area and then on the corners, but this tailgate needs a lot more work than just this patch and some surface rust. There's some dings and dents all over this thing, holes that need to be welded up. There's a big dent right here with no way to get to the backside. So the best way to do that is probably to cut this out and patch that in too. But we're not going to take care of that today. We're just going to be doing this small rust patch. And I'm going to show you guys how to fix that really easily. I'm going to start with just a scrap piece of sheet metal that I pulled out of under the stomp shear over there. Just some scrap, and this will cover that rust nice and easily. So I'm just going to go ahead and bend this over and even use the tailgate to hammer this to get that contour around this area. This looks pretty good. Maybe a little more bend. You can see how that fits pretty good right over that patch right there, or right over that rust rather. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scribe around this. We're going to cut that out, and then we're going to weld this in with the MIG. Cool little trick I like to do is put some Sharpie on it, some Magnum Sharpie. This just helps you see your scribe mark. Okay. So I'm going to put that patch right where I want it, and then scribe around it. Hopefully you could see that, but now I can see exactly where that scribe line is. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out with my air die grinder. So, looks like a lot of chunky rust in there. Okay, now that we got this piece cut out, it'd probably be a good time to put some rust preventative inside of this cavity right here. Now, I'm not going to do that today because I'm going to end up cutting more of this out. It'll give me a lot more room to spray something in there. So, being that this is just a demonstration video, I'm just going to skip that process for now. But I'm going to go ahead and take some of this Sharpie off of here. Give us a clean surface to weld on. And let's go ahead and check how our patch fits. Yeah, it fits pretty good. Now what I like to do whenever I'm making these patch panels is I like to take the corners off. It just helps that panel fit a little bit better, being that the cutoff wheel always leaves just a little bit of material inside these corners when you're cutting out the rust. So let me put this on here. So that looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and tack that in. Okay, I got my welder all set up and filling my edges. They all feel pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay my first tack down. Now that metal's a little thin, I think just because of the rust on the back side, so we're gonna have to be kind of light with it in some areas, I think, but that's okay. Now as I'm welding this in, I'm just going to do small portions, a couple of tacks here, a couple of tacks there, and kind of work my way around. The best way to do this is probably to have an air gun handy, and after you throw a couple tacks down, you cool it with the air. So let me get my air blower and we'll go ahead and do that. Also, make sure you don't have any flammables around like I did with that brake clean. That wasn't very smart. Let's go ahead and lay some more tacks down on this. So what I'm doing here is I'm just doing a stitch weld. I'm just laying a tack down and then another tack right at the very foot of that last tack, and then again, and then again, and then blowing with some air. 3 to 4 tacks. And I could probably weld this a lot faster because it's got a lot of contour on it. But whenever I'm MIG welding, it's harder to control that heat. And I like to make sure that it's nice and cool. So a couple of tacks, cool it down. Jump to another spot, couple of tacks, cool it down. And just keep doing the same thing until the whole thing's welded up. All right guys, now that that weld is complete, let's go ahead and grind these welds down. Try to make these welds disappear. We got our 36 grit roll lock. Now let's take these welds down. Alright guys, there's the patch. Nothing to it. The MIG welder is pretty easy to use when you're doing patch panels. It's just, I really like the TIG welder because it allows you to manipulate the metal afterwards. Now, if you don't have access to the backside, that always makes it really difficult. But the MIG welder is always quick and easy. You could get the job done. Most everything that you weld on a panel is going to need a little bit of body filler, especially if you don't have access to the backside. So this patch looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. There's going to be a lot more work to this tailgate, so you know, we're going to be working on this for a minute. So I'm not too worried about, you know, any little imperfections or anything on this panel. But thanks guys for watching. I hope you guys learned something. Get out there and start fabricating. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. It helps the channel. It really does. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.